In this episode of the WineDown, we're talking about the future of communications, looking way beyond Microsoft Teams and Zoom. So sit back, I hope you enjoy.
Welcome to the WineDown, an afternoon podcast where two techie blokes sit down over a bowl of wine and chat about what's happening in the world of tech. Enjoy while Scott and Nick open up about their week in technology.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the WineDown. I'm Nick and this is
Scott.
Hello, Scott. How are you?
Good, thank you, Nick.
Good.
What a lovely day it is.
It is a lovely day. Now, importantly, always starting, where are we? What are we drinking?
We are at the Union Hotel.
We certainly
in
are.
North Sydney. In a private room, too. It's very lovely. Oh, yes. No, we have an event here later on. So, we have a lovely bottle of Bordeaux. We haven't had one of these in a while. This is
I think we don't have French wine because you can't pronounce French. So why don't you read the label to us, Scott?
the Cateau de... it's a Chateau de Grand Puche.
Okay.
This is a Bordeaux Superior.
Yes, okay.
I don't know why they call things superior, because you're not really going to say this is the Bordeaux inferior, are you?
No, but you might have, Bordeaux de Maison or something else. So.
Oh, okay. It's a 2017 Mise en Bouteille et Chateau.
It was put into the bottle at the chateau.
Is that what that says?
That's what that means.
Well, where else is it going to get into?
Well, maybe they ship it in a big vat and it gets put. Anyway,
okay.
Never mind.
It's a product of
So
France.
it's a 2017 Cuvée en Laurie. It's yummy. And I can't read it because I got my wrong glasses on. But there we go. Imported by the Lecky Group, apparently. Very nice.
It's actually a nice drop. Oh, hang on. And yes. It's
Cool.
It's red wine.
Excellent. We're going to try and go beyond communication. Now, I understand the WineDown is a form of communication that's beyond communication, but let's talk about how beyond communication we're going to get.
Yes.
So I remember, not that long ago now, where people were still arguing about whether it's Teams or whether it's Zoom, and people weren't able to use video conferencing, and all that had been around for forever. People were really struggling with it. Then along came COVID. We all went to go home for a bit, and suddenly that form of communication, video conferencing, online meetings, became the thing that most people are able to do now.
Yes, and it pushed that really progression into modern communications very quickly ahead. And I'm sort of glad, because I spent a part of today assisting a client with a fax issue.
Oh my goodness!
and having sort of done some preparation for our podcast tonight on the future of communications, and what comes up, you've got problems with a fax. Oh, okay, that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's quite funny. I was in a call this morning with a friend of mine who works for one of the world's major telcos, and he was talking about how they're really simplifying their business. They're getting rid of 100 and something years of legacy, and actually trying to become a really simplified provider. The thing they say is that we've been around this many years is a really good thing and a really bad thing all at the same time. So people are stuck with it. It's funny. I remember having conversations with people going, you don't need a desk phone anymore. You can get rid of that device. You can actually just have a headset. And I don't have a desk phone. Haven't had one for years. But I remember getting one when I joined Microsoft. They gave me a desk phone. That was cool. But they've all gone now.
We haven't had desk phones for quite a while, I think. And unless you've really got a situation where you need them or it's adding value, a desk phone today is really a mini computer running a phone bit of software.
Yes.
So
you might as well get your computer to run a phone bit of software, right?
Well, use your iPhone.
Android, please.
Well, if you wish, but I have less bugs on my phone. Anyway. Do you want to have that discussion?
Let's not have that discussion. Number of calls I've been you on. How do I work this? But anyway, Never mind. So, we've done this kind of video conferencing, but it's time to look beyond it. And I'm not sure people are quite ready for what we should do beyond it. But one of the things is, right at the beginning of the COVID lockdown, Microsoft did the Microsoft Build event that they ran 100% across Teams. And I must say it was one of the best conferences I've ever been to that I didn't go to. So I attended, I went to lots of sessions, they were amazing, but I didn't have to fly somewhere. I didn't have to have jet lag. I didn't have to stay in a hotel. I could get up at 1 o'clock in the morning at home because I wanted to see that session. Or not, depending on how I felt.
And you didn't have to wear pants or anything. It was just it was you there. You're at home, you're comfy, you've got a glass of red in one hand and whatever else.
Exactly. So I think, people are, let's get back to events, but COVID's not gone. And here in Sydney at the moment, there's another wave and people don't really want to go out. We're seeing a drop off in people working. So events are hard. And I think if you're going to run any type of event, you've got to stream it. You can't just have a physical event by yourselves. I want to go to lots of things. Some I can, some I can't. I love to sit in streams, and they're really good.
I still think physical attendance at events is good for small groups.
Yep.
That connectivity and that networking element is quite healthy and very valuable. But you've got to do it in a viable way as well. So when we spoke about this a little while ago, that we had global events run by Cisco and RSA in the last sort of couple of months over in the US. And while they had a lot of people attending, mainly because in some cases this is the first thing they've actually been able to go to in a couple of years, so we're out, yay, off we go. It became a very quick way of, such quite high percentages of people there came back sick.
Yes.
As a result.
Yep.
And you sort of, it's not surprising. And then I was listening to some other people that went, and they said, well, we went over to the event and I listened to the keynotes in my hotel room just so that I wouldn't be with the crowds.
I've done that because keynotes are really early, and me and events and hotel rooms and early mornings don't work very well.
Well, I think this was more of they were trying to stay safe. And also, what was the purpose of flying and registering and doing something if you weren't actually going to go and attend things? But I guess they were fairly selective about what they attended, what times they did it, and stands and viewed things.
It is interesting. I think we're almost at a position where you've got to kind of allow for both. And there are 10-year-olds streaming. It's not difficult, right? There's Australian manufacturers of really good professional equipment out there. It's not hard to learn how to do. But, just like on one of the schools we're working with has actually hired somebody to run all their online events. So they do them, everything's done in person and online. And I think that's a super idea because, people can watch it later. If they can't get to it, they can still be engaged, and you're keeping your community engaged rather, if I don't go to an event for something I'm a member of and I don't do it all year, then why am I a member? And I'll stop it. Whereas if I go, no, but there's all this online content and there's a vendor I want to see, or there's this I want to see, I'll just go watch that one, or I'll watch it live because I want to ask a question. All those things are goodness.
It is, and it's also a direct indication that audio-visual component of having the voice and not the sound working properly, like at a decent level, having the video transmitting at a really sharp picture and it fits in, and making all that come together in such a way that it's viable for the audience is very important.
It is, and it's not rocket science anymore. I do a bunch of this stuff. So Blackmagic Design, which is an Australian company, not only do they make amazing cameras, which while really professional grade aren't that expensive and are very easy to use, but they also create video switches in the R10 mini series, which allow you to chop and change between cameras and do all those sorts of things. But you're not buying a television studio, but you're getting television studio results.
Yeah, I know we did a lot of this just recently, and I saw the cameras you bought for one of our clients that wanted to do some things, and I thought that's like $2,000 or something for a camera and a lens, and I go, okay, well, it's not cheap, but it's not hideously expensive. But then I looked at the output from it when it was live, and this thing was 50 metres back from the stage, and you could literally zoom in on someone, and there is a crisp, sharp 4K image of this person being broadcast in. And so, really? That was like $2,000 well spent. That used to be like the sort of $30,000,
that was
$50,000.
Absolutely. There's that level of videography used to be tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, and now we're doing it for a couple of K.
And that's because there's more and more people doing it, so you can mass produce the equipment more, and costs are coming down, technology is becoming more efficient, and so forth. So
it is, and it's all digital now.
Of course, yes.
Well, we've got some optical stuff. These sensors are getting better, the colour science is getting better, all of those things. But the neat thing about the devices we bought was you don't have to be a professional videographer to be able to use them. You can sit and watch some YouTube videos and you can get amazing results. It's not saying you're getting cinematic professional videographer results, but you are getting really good results.
There is an element that says, look, a good tool will help you with your job, but ultimately you've got to use the right tool the right way in the right place.
But I think the thing is, the other thing you've got to realise is people spend a lot of time on Netflix and YouTube, and they see live streams and they see all of that. They're actually coming to expect pretty high quality from things they go to. So you've got to be able to deliver it, whether you're an educational establishment, a business, a professional association. You've got to be able to deliver really high quality audio and video. And we're quite lucky with the WineDown. We've got a kit that fits in a tiny little box, which does our video and our audio and works quite well. And it's not a big step up from that to do some cool live streaming stuff, but.
And even like these roving mics that you've got here, I mean, they're not what you call expensive by any means.
No.
Look, they're not, like, it's not the cost of a car or anything like that. A few
but
$100 each sort of thing, but they work really well.
Yeah, they're really good. They're really good.
Yes. So there's, so that's quite interesting. And now I think that's a thing that says to all businesses, maybe it's time to look at what are you doing with your meetings?
Yep.
What's happening?
Yep.
Even web cameras that you can attach on the top of the monitors. Like I ended up getting a Logitech a Brio, a 4K one, and they're about like $300 or something like that to buy, whatever they were, which was in one respect a bit of an investment for a webcam that you could get for $20 down at the little flea markets, but at the other side of it, it's a really sharp image.
And it's what people are looking for. They're looking for sharp images they can reach out and touch. So we record this in 1024, which is high def, but it's the lowest of the low. You can get all the way up to 6 or 12K now. Not that I would, because broadcast is currently sitting at about 1080p high definition. But that's the minimum. That's your ticket to the game.
We are starting to bring the 4K broadcasting in here.
Yep.
But I know an engineer that was doing it in the US a few years ago now, and they said on the cable over there it was okay, but you were literally pulling up to 50 megabits per second for a 4K image. And this was when we just had NBN rolling out, and I'm thinking 50 meg on what? This the internet links that we've got into people's houses here. Good luck with that. But we've now got sufficient capacity that we're just starting to that may be a viable thing.
Well, I've got 4 kids who may in the evening all be streaming 4K. And one of them's probably streaming Love Island in 8K because she's like that. So you pull some bandwidth, right? You really do.
But you've also got to have a screen to put it on.
Yeah, absolutely. But also they don't watch TV. We have no terrestrial TV at home anymore. We've all flipped over to Netflix and Stan and all of those sorts of things.
Yeah, okay. But it's still you still need a display.
Absolutely. But I quite like when there's an event that I want to go to, kicking everybody, out of the lounge room and putting it on the big TV. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, many years ago we had this large service desk, and at one point the flat screen monitors started coming out in the big form factors for the big TVs, and we got these 42-inch ones at the time, and they were sub $1,000. Well, okay, they were $999, but anyway, they just gone below $1,000. And I said, okay, look, let's get 8 of those. And we bolted them all together on the walls and had these a big wall full of TVs with different stats and numbers on them and all that sort of thing. What I didn't realise, though, was the amount of power that they were drawing at the time.
Yep.
And you literally walk past these things, and it's like you were walking past the sun. They were drawing. We had a data centre in the back area that was pulling data centre stored power, and these were a measurable amount on the bill. Having these on. So
that's interesting, but that's all like broadcasting to flat, traditional. I say traditional, and I look at this thing. I've got a phone with a live display, and it's thin as and runs around some batteries.
That's right.
Traditional displays. What about VR, AR, and holograms? What about the full 3D immersion experience? Because I noticed, a bunch of projectors came out with 3D glasses, and a bunch of movies came out with 3D glasses, and everyone's gone past that. They're not interested.
Look, I think the initial concept of the 3D movies where you'd wear those special little cellophane glasses, and was it Hitchcock the birds?
Yeah. Red and blue glasses.
Yes, the red and blue. Yeah, but you'd actually see these birds coming out of the screen at you, or the crows or whatever. And it's that's an interesting concept. It never worked really well for me, but it works differently for different people. But that concept was the first of the 3D style things. So you start to get into things like the virtual reality part, which has had a bit of a boom. But I think, as per most things in version 1 of anything, it showed some really interesting concepts that never really took off.
I'd agree. Now, I've got a Oculus Quest 2 at home. It's still in use, right? It's not sitting in the cupboard gathering dust like some things. And we have some things that certainly are. But The Quest 2 is still used, not as much by me, but more by my son, because there's a lot of gaming he does on
Yeah,
that thing.
okay, okay.
Gaming's really cool. Meetings in VR are cool, but it misses one thing. The way the device is built is you can't see your keyboard. And I struggle with that. As I'm a great typer if I'm typing normal letters, but all of my coding involves curly brackets, square brackets, parentheses, weird symbols, and I don't quite know where they are depending on which keyboard I'm looking at. So I find that AR's a lot better for that.
So hang on. So what you're saying is that in a VR meeting, because I can't see my keyboard, I can't be doing my email and whatever else while I'm listening to you babble on about something.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. The other thing is
I've actually got to pay attention.
The other thing is you can't see me. And a lot of the things we've done with video meetings now is that eye contact, that waving, that interaction that we do. And so that's really hard in VR and AR.
But it was a good first concept.
And it will merge and come together, and I think it will go somewhere. I don't think VR's gone as quiet as we think it has. There's a lot of investment there. But I think we'll see some new technology come out, some new software, and I think that will get another boom and it will get there.
Now, AR, augmented reality,
Yep.
is like VR, except you've got the background
Of the real world.
behind, in front of you.
Yep.
So you can actually see, it's like the image or the VR image is being presented on top of.
Yep. So my big thing for VR and AR is being able to code without carrying around with me a large laptop or a large second screen or third screen, etc. And so I have a pair of AR glasses which I bought recently, which are ultra fine resolution, that I can finally code in because I can actually see my keyboard.
You be able to see,
AR.
is it a real keyboard?
It's a physical keyboard.
Okay, this isn't that
The virtual one doesn't work. It's just not quick
okay.
enough. But a physical keyboard I can see. I mean, you think if you're typing at 90 to 100 words a minute, and it's got to process those absolutely tiny motor movements and make them and give you haptics. No, but these AR glasses I've actually superimposed the world, so I've got a big screen in front of me, nice and big with lots of pixels, and I can look down and see my keyboard. It's cool. It works
those
well.
90 to 100 words actually make sense.
Yeah, well, no, you're me typing here, Scott. I mean, come on.
Okay, so we've seen that, and there's a bit of a wave around the whole AR concept, and we've seen it used in business.
Yep.
Things like manufacturing plants I've seen in the US where they've implemented this, where you've got someone going up, they've got a task to do, and overlaid across the front of the equipment they're working on is grab this.
Yep.
Do this, tighten this like that. No, that's too tight. Put it back a bit. Push that button. Now do this when this reaches, and you can actually see the instructions on this sort of virtual screen in front of you, overlaying the reality of what you're doing.
And I think that's really cool because what you're doing is you're also embedding into the business. First of all, more people can do the task. Secondly, training's a lot easier. But secondly, everybody's following procedures because they're right in front of them.
Well, that's just it. I mean, if I picked a random person off the street and said, I want you to go and pull the engine out of that car, and they'd probably go, well, I've got no idea how to do that. And I said, put these glasses on and just follow whatever it says on the screen. And, click here, squeeze that lift bonnet, get this item, undo that, put that over there, and just, it was teaching you in real time what to do. You'd actually have the outcome.
Yes.
It's very interesting.
But you can go a step further, right? These meetings, there's always a bit of a pane of glass.
That's right.
Even in VR and AR, there's a pane of glass. What about that, where that kind of someone's almost present, the hologrammy typey thing? Are those just, is that just stage trickery, or is actually something going on there?
Is it something the cameras did in Star Trek, or is it...
I'm going to steal some more wine while you talk,
please,
Scott.
You should, I think. I might just,
Yeah, there you go. Lovely.
much better answers now.
Yes.
So look, it's come a long way. This is where the hologram concept comes in. Now, we've seen it. Look, it's been around for about 10 years, but the things from 10 years ago are really the R&D level sorts of things.
Yep.
We've seen keynote speeches from CEOs of big companies where they've said, look, here's 2 minutes of me, blah, blah, and you see the image on stage. But you can tell it's a projection.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the following few years later, it's a very sharp projection. Then, a little while later on, said, is that actually a person? And they disappear, and you go, oh, no, it's not.
Yes.
So these things are coming along. And there's, when you look at it today, there's a few variations on where this is heading. So there's one company I was watching called Proto.
Oh yeah. So it's not a prototype.
No, it's not. It's not a prototype. Proto Hologram. They actually produce a. It's like something the size of a big fridge, probably just a little bit bigger. It's a big rectangular object, and it has the hologram projectors or the emitters in there.
Yep.
So you would actually stand in front of a white screen or something like that with a camera, a number of cameras on you, and you're talking away, and it will actually project your 3D image into this box.
Cool.
And it's actually very good. It's quite sharp.
Yep.
It's bright enough to see at the back of the room, and you're basically just talking to someone right in front of you, but they're not actually there. They're in a box. It's an image of them projected by light in a box.
Yep.
And it actually seems to be working very well.
And there's prices on this now. You can buy one.
Yeah, they're actually they're way out. They're about $65K US dollars. For the equipment, and it's a few grand a year for licensing and just to keep everything working properly and whatever else. But the idea is also that you can, once you've got one of these boxes, and this is a bit like an airport.
Yep.
Once you put one in and you put another one somewhere else, you can very easily have box-to-box communication.
Oh, that's cool.
So you can actually link all this stuff in. They all link up.
Yep.
You can also do things like I'm saving my message to the cloud and have the cloud stream into a various box at a point in time. So I can pre-record something.
And then appear as if by magic in a
Yes,
box.
and someone says, and now let's hear from Fred on the state of whatever it is, and
Yep.
you click the button, and there's the recording coming down from the cloud into this. It's very interesting. Now they've just released a set top, like a tabletop box.
Yep.
And it's I don't know, it looks. It's like a big shoebox, a bit bigger than that, I suppose. But the idea being it's like a really big phone on the table, and that is actually a VR.
Right.
A hologram image in there. So they managed to get smaller versions of it, and they were looking somewhere between about $2 to $5K for those.
Wow.
But see, this is just, it's a matter of time.
Yep.
The more and more people that get them at this level says, oh, now we've worked out how to do it cheaper. Next. And all of a sudden, everyone will have something in their home like this.
Yep, and that disappears, and off you go, and all sorts of things can happen.
Well, I'm just waiting for the next version of these boxes where instead of actually someone recording their image somewhere and being projected into a box, you actually just go and step in the box and it transports you somewhere.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I can think of but I think that's a little while away. So that's kind of cool.
Probably is.
Google's got some interesting things coming up. Have you read about these?
Potentially. I mean, they started off with this Project Starline that was it's a hologram sort of meeting concept where you can sort of beam yourself into a meeting, and it raised a bit of noise, a bit of and all of a sudden it went quiet.
Yep.
And I don't know whether it's this
standard Google thing where it's still quiet, so maybe nothing's happening, or maybe it will appear as a beta for the next 10 years.
Google does have this tendency just to kill off random projects.
It does.
But they've also got a tendency to go quiet on projects and then 2 years later, oh, by the way, here's where we are, and look, you're like 5 years down the track now, having had all these people on it and just not told anyone, and no one knows where they are. So look, that's interesting. There was this other company I was looking at, Matsuko.
Yep,
I think it is, and they take images from your iPhone and project them into an augmented reality scenario. So you can actually have here I am, I'm being projected into the meeting using standard iPhone style.
Well,
cameras.
the iPhone's got 3D radar.
That's right.
mapping
It is the recent iPhones with all the lidar and and that works really well. You still need your AR headsets and your glasses.
Yes.
But where they're heading with that, it's actually quite interesting.
It is. It's funky, and having a device you have with you makes these things far more accessible. It's all about. People don't want to buy a million devices, but I think you can do cool stuff with it. So we'll eventually get to the immersion room, which is like Telepresence revisited. Cisco Telepresence, for those of you who don't know, was this. I think it was HD, wasn't it? They started with HD and went 4K.
720.
So a bunch of HD screens that cut off one side of a meeting desk, and you had another one somewhere else, and it was kind of like you were there a bit.
Look, it was a very cool concept at the time.
Telstra loved it. It was such a good way to consume network.
I remember when they were getting put in originally, they were the better part of $1 million. And look, you'll think, what? Who'd do that for for like the equivalent of Zoom? No, but no, it's It's a real thing because everybody was flying back then. If you think $1 million is just 1,000 person uses
Yes.
at $1,000 a return flight accommodation, whatever, and that's not hard to recoup.
No.
So yes, you literally have a semicircular table.
Yep.
Where you'd have 3 or 4 seats around that, and the other half, right down the middle of that table, would be your TV screens.
Yep.
And they would present the image of that same semicircular table in different rooms in the organisation. And you could have like, that screen is from Melbourne, that screen is from Perth, we're from Sydney, and it looks like you're literally talking to the person.
Yep.
It's very well done.
It was well done.
But right down to this is the shade of paint you need.
Yep.
And this is the size of the desk, this is the colour scheme, and don't create your own. This stuff is physically built to make this work. So that's where it was a while ago. This has come a long way.
Cool.
The new versions of this is actually a hologram being presented. Essentially, it's still on the screen. It's not quite there yet.
It will get there eventually.
Yeah.
But there's a lot, and I think the thing about this chat is there's so much coming in the future that's going to revolutionise things. We think we've done it all now. We've got video conferencing. You ain't seen nothing yet. There's lots coming.
Oh, yeah, and the thing that I always like about all of this, it's all done really on the internet.
Yes.
It's not some, we had to put our own fibre in to carry the bandwidth and whatever. No, it's actually, you need a decent internet link, of course, but
the internet's so massive now, you can do it on an internet link, whereas
that's
you
right.
didn't used to be able to.
The bandwidth is there at the speeds where that is no longer an issue.
Yep. Cool.
Now, we were talking about one thing just before this, which we thought we'd talk about at the end just very
We're
quickly.
going to have a chat about quantum entanglement, aren't we?
Yes.
I should phone a friend on this one, otherwise I'm going to get called out. But
now, you were explaining this quantum entanglement
I was badly explaining quantum
and I was badly
entanglement.
understanding it. So whatever we make up here is going to be very interesting.
It will be.
But-
So net, if you have a quantum particle, and in quantum computers they're called qubits, and qubits are surrounded by all sorts of things. To keep them separate, you can entangle 2 qubits together, which means if you change the orientation and state of one, the other one instantly changes irrespective of its distance from the original qubit. Spooky action at a distance, it's
Yes.
called by Einstein.
But basically, you're saying, here's 2 little things.
Yep.
And they're going to mirror what happens to the other.
Yep.
So if I take one and I give you the other one.
Yep.
And you go you go and put yourself on Mars.
Well, as far as you can tell, I can put myself at the other end of the universe, and you change the state of yours. Mine will immediately change state.
I was trying to keep it realistic by putting
Yeah,
you on
okay.
Mars, but okay. No. So you go and jump on a nice little spaceship and you go to Mars.
Yep.
And if I whack this one on the back of the head, the other one goes ouch.
From a quantum point of view, yes, absolutely, instantaneously.
So therefore, if I had a whole stack of these, because they're really small, I could create an image of myself, and you would be looking at an image of me over there, and providing
Yes.
it mirrored whatever I was doing.
So there's an announcement this week that a group of researchers in Australia, and they're leading the world on this, have created a quantum integrated circuit, which now has 8 qubits.
Okay.
A qubite, if you will, so to
dear.
speak. But that's not quite enough to replicate you.
No.
You need trillions
Well,
of them.
we weren't. I don't know. When we got to 8-bit mode on the CPUs from a while ago, we started doing some basic stuff, and that was pretty cool. So
Yeah, this is 8. This is just 8 bits.
Yeah.
This isn't like a CPU that can handle 8 bits at a time.
one step
This
at
is
a
just
time.
8 bits.
Give
But-
them a go at this.
But you can do some interesting maths with it. So anyway,
Yes.
moving on, because
Okay.
otherwise I'll get way too technical.
But I just thought the concept of these things mirroring each other at any distance was going to solve.
Can theoretically, although not proven yet, allow you to transfer data from one point in the universe to any other point in the universe with no latency and no lag, instantaneously. So infinite bandwidth with 0 transmission time. The chances on us seeing that in our lifetimes are between none and bugger all.
I don't know.
but-
Instant offsite backup.
Yeah, no, but this will come eventually, I think. But it's deep in the realms of physics, and my wife's doing the degree in it, and I don't quite understand it. But there you go.
Well, there you go. Cool. That's wonderful.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Scott.
That's right. Thank you, Nick.
And thank you so much. And if you do like what you see, make sure you give us a like, make sure you subscribe, and leave a comment if you'd like us to discuss a topic. This has been the WineDown. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.